really appreciate you all coming. I'm sorry that we had to issue with space, but we're doing the best we can. Welcome to our production of To Kill a Mockingbird. My name is Paul Christie. I'm the drama teacher here. Yeah. That was a completely anonymous member of the audience. Spontaneously doing that. We really do appreciate your coming. I'm sorry for the discomfort and the fact that we're starting a little late, but I think you'll find the wait is well worth it. These young people have done such a lot of work, and it has resulted in some really good performances. I'm hoping tonight's the best. So thank you for coming, and welcome to our production of To Kill a Mockingbird.
Let's talk to the old guy.
The cement would still be there covering the knothole.
Scout, where are you? Come here.
My name's Jean Louise. But when I was that girl over there, they called me Scout.
You hear me, Scout?
I'm watching for Atticus.
Atticus. That's my father. Back then, he seemed ancient, feeble. He was a lawyer, and nearly 50. When we asked him why he was so old, he said he got it started late, which we thought reflected on his manliness. He was much older than our school's contemporaries, and there wasn't much me or Jem could say about him.
Because he doesn't do anything. Atticus doesn't drive a dump truck for the county. He isn't sheriff. He doesn't farm or work in a garage or anything worth mentioning. Most fathers go hunting, play poker, fish. Atticus works in an office, and he reads.
With those attributes, however, Atticus did not say as inconspicuous as Jem and I had hoped. No, he did not.
Hey, Scout, how come your daddy defends niggers? Scout's daddy defends niggers.
You gonna take that back, boy?
You gonna make me? My folks say your daddy's a disgrace and that nigga oughta hang from the water tank.
You take that back.
Make me. Try and make me.
Scout, I told you to come in.
I'm not ready to come in. I have to talk to Atticus.
It was Maycomb, Alabama, in 1935, when those ugly words were first shouted at us. When an experience would mean to bring a man to his death. When a day brought Boo Radley storming out of that shut-up house. The attack on me, Jem's arm broken, another man killed. But that's not what I want to remember. That's not why my mind's come back here. Enough years have gone by, enough so I could do the one thing that my father wanted me to do. No, there was one other thing. When he gave us air rifles, he told us never to kill a mockingbird.
You know, your father's right. Mockingbirds just make music. They don't eat at people's gardens, don't nest in corn cribs. They don't do one thing but sing their hearts out. That's why it's a sin to kill a mockingbird.
Miss Maudie, this is an old neighborhood, ain't it?
Been here longer than the town.
No, I mean the folks on the street are all old. Jem means the only children. Miss Dubose is close on 100. Miss Crawford's old. So are you. And Atticus.
Not being wheeled around yet. Neither's your father. You're lucky. You and Jem have the benefit of your father's age. If your father was 30, you'd find life quite different.
I sure would. Atticus can't do anything.
You'd be surprised. There's life in him yet.
What can he do?
Quite a lot. Seems to me you'd be proud of him.
Why? The way some folks are going about, you would think he was running still.
We lived over there. Jem, Atticus, and I, and Calpurnia, our cook, who raised us. Calpurnia was all angles and bones.
You come in and get washed up before your father gets home.
I said I wasn't ready.
Your brother's already washed up. Why can't you behave as well as Jem?
Because he's older than me and you know it.
Get in there.
Calpurnia's hand was as hard as a bed slab. My mother died when I was 2, so I never felt her absence. But I felt Calpurnia's tyrannical presence for as long as I could remember.
The water's too high.
Keep scrubbing.
Even in 1935, Maycomb was already a tired old town. A day in the rainy weather, the street would turn to red slop, grass grew on the sidewalks, and the courthouse sagged in the town square. That's Hank Tate, the sheriff, and Judge Taylor.
Atticus, you home?
Not yet, Mr. Tate.
You
Cal, tell him we were passing by.
You want him to call?
We seen him anyway.
People moved slowly, and it was even hotter. A day was 24 hours long, but seemed longer. There was no hurry, for there was nowhere to go, nothing to buy, and no money to buy it with.
Lack of money is no excuse to let the place go like that. The least they could do is cut the Johnson grass and rabbit tobacco. But of course, they're Radleys.
Miss Stephanie Crawford, the neighborhood scold. According to her, everybody had a streak. A gambling streak, a funny streak, a drinking streak.
No Atkinson minds his own business. Every third Merriweather's morbid. The truth is not in the daily fields. All the Bufords walk like that. Why, if Miss Grace sips gin out of Lydia E. Pinkham bottles, it's nothing unusual. Her mother did the same.
She was also your source of information about Boo Radley.
When that boy was in his teens, he took up with some bad ones from old Sarah. They were arrested on charges of disorderly conduct, disturbing the peace, assault and battery, and using profane and abusive language in the presence and hearing of a female. Boo was released to his father, who shut him up in that house. He wasn't seen again for 15 years.
I'd have to ask, as she intended. Miss Stephanie, what happened 15 years later?
Boo was sitting in his living room, cutting some items from the Maycomb Tribune, pasting his scrapbook, when his father walked by. And when he did, Boo took his scissors, drove them into his father's leg, pulled them out, wiped them off, and resumed his activities. Boo was then 33, but Miss Radley said that no Radley was going to an insane asylum. So he kept him home, where he still is to this very day.
But how do you know? How do you know he's still in there?
Because, my dear, I ain't seen him carried out yet.
Jem and I had never seen him. And when we finally did, we were in no condition, being in fear for our lives. The Radley pecan tree shook its fruit into the adjoining schoolyard. A Radley pecan would kill you. A ball hit into the Radley yard was a lost cause, no questions asked. My brother Jen, the Alabama must have played in the Rose Bowl, with him scoring the winning touchdown.
Where are you going this time of day, Jeremy Finch? Playing hooky, I suppose. I'll just call up the principal and tell him.
Oh, it's Saturday, Mr. Bose.
Wonder if your father knows where you are.
Of course he does.
Marty Atkinson told me you knocked over her scuppernong arbor this morning. She's gonna tell your father and you'll wish you'd never seen the light of day.
I have not been near
Don't
Scuppernong.
you contradict me. If you're not in reform school by the end of this week, my name's not Dubose.
Miss Henry Lafayette Dubose. If she was on her porch when Jem and I walked by, we'd be raped by her wrathful gaze, and then subjected to interrogation about what our future would amount to. It was always nothing. Jem and I hated her. We had no idea she was fighting a hard battle.
Miss Cal.
Reverend Sykes, from the First Purchase Church, called the First Purchase because it was paid for from the first freed slaves.
Afternoon, Reverend.
It's about Brother Tom. Robinson's trouble. We have to do more for his wife and children.
Yes, Reverend.
The collection for the next 3 Sundays will go to Helen. Please encourage everyone to bring what they can. To tell you the truth, Helen's finding it hard to work these days. Folks aren't anxious to.
In a minute.
To have anything to do with his family.
Yes, Pa?
I'm telling you! Stay out of town now, you hear?
I hear. Bob Ewell, his daughter Mayella. No truant officer could keep any of the Ewells in school, and no health officer could keep them from filth and disease. Good days and bad, they lived off the county, in a small shack near the dump, near a small Negro settlement. And the only thing that Bob Ewell felt made him better than the rest of his neighbors was that scrubbed hard with lye soap, he was still white.
Reverend.
I have a lot of calls to make. Goodbye. See you Sunday, Miss Cal.
Goodbye, Reverend.
Cal, what did Tom Robinson do?
You mean what do they say he did? Old Mr. Bob Ewell accused him of attacking his girl and had him put in jail.
But everyone knows the Ewells. You think folks would be happy to hire him?
That's what you think.
What does it mean he attacked her?
You'll have to ask Miss Finch about that. You hungry?
I have to talk to Atticus.
summer Dill came to us. He was to give us the idea of making Boo Radley come out.
Hey, Scout.
Hey, Dill.
His real name was Charles Baker Harris, and we had come to know him as a pocket merlin, whose head teemed with eccentric plans, strange longings, and quaint fancies. He was to be my childhood fiancé, which was nice for a girl, even if he wasn't very big. I'm little, he said, but I'm old.
You watching for your father?
Yeah. What about your daddy?
What do you mean?
Well, you never say nothing about him.
Because I haven't got one.
Is he dead?
No.
Well, if he isn't dead, then you got one, haven't you?
Never mind her, Dill.
If his father isn't dead, he's got one, doesn't he?
Scout!
It's Nathan Radley.
When old Mr. Radley died, people thought Boo might come out, but they had another thing coming. Nathan Radley, Boo's brother, took over his father's place. At least Nathan would speak to us.
How do you do, Mr. Nathan?
Looking back on a place to begin, maybe it's what happened next.
Now Boo Radley's in there all by himself.
Wonder what he does. Look like he just stick his head out the door sometime.
He goes out when it's pitch dark. I've seen his tracks in our backyard many a morning. And one night, I even heard him scratching on the back screen.
Wonder what he looks like.
Judging from his tracks, he's about 6.5 feet tall. He eats raw squirrels and eat cats he can catch. With teeth he has is yellow and rotten. His eyes pop. Most of the time, he drools.
Let's make Boo Radley come out.
Wait, make Boo Radley come out?
You want to get yourself killed, all you gotta do is go up there and knock on that door.
You're scared. Too scared to put your big toe in the front yard.
Ain't scared, just respectful.
Oh, I dare you.
You dare me?
Don't do it, Jim.
You're gonna run out on a dare?
Let me think a minute.
Just touch the house. I dare you.
Touch the house, that's all?
Oh, he'll probably come running right after you. Then me and Scout will have to jump on him and say, we just want to look at him. Well,
don't rush me.
Scout is just right behind you. Man, folks where I come from aren't so scared. I've never seen such scary folks around here.
So there.
Oh, look, someone's at the door.
He was watching. He saw me.
Don't ever do that again. If you get killed, well, with Atticus already so old, we'll become meat.
Where'd you get the chewing gum?
I found it in the novel.
The Radley tree? Spit it out.
I was just getting the flavor.
Suppose Boo Radley put it there. Suppose it's poison. You go goggle.
No, it take the taste out of my mouth.
Let's throw a pebble against the door. And as soon as he comes out, we'll say, we want to buy him an ice cream. That'll seem friendly. And maybe if he set a spell on us, he'd feel better.
How do you know he don't feel good now?
How would you feel if you had nothing but cats to eat? Meow. But if you got it, I'd feel better.
Better leave that to me.
Okay, maybe you just run up and touched it, but...
I just have to keep on showing you.
Jim?
Atticus!
Just what were you about to do, Jem?
Nothing, sir.
I don't want any of that. Tell me.
I was gonna throw a pebble to get Boo Radley to come out.
Why?
Because, sir, we thought he might enjoy us.
I see. Son, I'm going to tell you something and tell you one time. Do not bother that man.
But why doesn't he...
What Mr. Radley does is his own decision. If he wants to stay inside his own house, he has the right to stay inside, free from the attention of inquisitive children. Now, how would you like it if I barge into your rooms at night without knocking?
That's different.
Is it?
Because we're not crazy.
What Mr. Radley does may seem peculiar to us, but it does not seem peculiar to him.
But why does...
But that's his decision.
Anyone who stays inside...
That's his decision. Now, there's something I'd like to ask of you, and if you'll do it, we'll get along a lot better with all kinds. You see, you never really understand someone until you consider things from their point of view.
Sir?
Until you climb into their skin and walk around it.
You want us to consider things from Boo Radley's point of view?
He means everyone.
You stay out of this.
Dill's right. Well, but I expect him asking too much. It's Walter Cunningham.
I'll see y'all later. I have more stuff to do. See ya.
Good afternoon, Walter. Regardless of any plans, stay away from that house unless invited.
This is for you, Mr. Finch. Turnip green.
Thank you very much.
I would like to pay in cash for your services, but between the mortgage and the...
This is just fine. Jem, please take this sack to cash. Let's see your bill is settled.
You put in a lot of time.
Well, let's see now. You left a load of stove wood in the backyard, then a sack of paper nuts. And then at Christmas, created smilax and holly. Now turnip greens. More than paid.
If you say so.
Hey, Mr. Cunningham, I know your boy's in my class at school. We had a little disagreement the other day.
I have a few of those with apple myself, little lady.
I didn't beat him up too bad.
Well, if he can't defend himself against a girl, he'll just have to take it. Much obliged.
Anytime I can be of help.
Atticus, why does Mr. Cunningham pay with stove wood and turnip greens?
Well, because that's the only way you can.
Are we poor, Atticus?
We are indeed.
As poor as the Cunninghams?
Not exactly. The Cunninghams are country friends, and the Depression hits them the hardest. What was your trouble with my client's boy?
He said some things I didn't like. I rubbed his nose in the dirt.
That's not very lady. What did he say?
Some things. And Atticus, I think we should have a talk.
Atticus, catch!
Hold on to it, son. Not today.
Atticus, will you be going out for the Methodists for the football game?
What game?
Well, it won't be till fall, but everybody's talking about it already. The Methodists challenged the Baptists to a game of touch football.
Well, afraid I wouldn't be of much help.
Everybody in town's father is playing, and
Except yours.
every other father...
I break my neck.
It's touch.
I'm too old for that sort of thing.
Well, would you have time to show Scout me how to shoot our air rifles? Later, I mean?
Told you to. You'll have to wait for your Uncle Jack. Oh, he'll really show you.
Couldn't you show us?
I'm not interested in guns.
He's not interested in anything.
Now you'll have to go get it. Jem, why do people slow down as they're going past?
What, Pete?
Yonder some benches. Them's is chillin'. For all he cares, blacks can run loose and rip up the countryside.
Why do people...
Because that's the way they are.
But why?
I have to go get my football.
Someone call?
Atticus, I've been meaning to ask. Do you defend niggers?
Don't say niggers, Scout. That's common.
What everybody at school says.
From now on, it'll be everybody less one.
And do all lawyers defend Negroes?
They do.
Then why does everyone act like you're doing something awful?
Well, you're not old enough to understand something, Scout, but there's been a lot of high talk around town that I shouldn't do much about defending Tom Robinson. But I'm going to defend that man.
Well, if they say you shouldn't, why are you doing it?
Well, the main reason is, if I didn't, I couldn't hold my head up. I couldn't tell you or Jem not to do anything again.
You mean we wouldn't have to mind you anymore?
That's about right.
Why?
Well, I couldn't ask you to do anything for me. You see, every lawyer gets at least one case in his lifetime that affects him personally. This one's mine, I guess.
You sound like some old Confederate veteran.
Only we aren't fighting Yankees. We'll be fighting our friends. But remember this, no matter what happens, they're still our friends. This is still our home.
Is there anything you want me to do, Atticus?
Keep your head up, even if things turn ugly. And I hope you can get through what's coming without catching Maycomb's usual disease. Why reasonable people go stark raving mad whenever something involving a Negro comes up is just something I don't pretend to understand.
The Tom Robinson case must be pretty important.
It goes to the essence of a man's conscience. Well, before I can live with others, I've got to live with myself.
What does that mean?
One thing does not abide the majority rule. A person's conscience.
Jem! Jem, hey!
information to pass along to Jem. Certainly this new aspect of my father's legal practice was much more interesting than doing papers in an office. I found my brother unresponsive. Maybe it wasn't as new to him as it was to me. And maybe it was abuse from older boys that made him so eager to involve his father in senseless community activities, such as a game of touch football. All invitations were politely declined. Then, something happened. Something that made our father even more of a puzzle. The tension in the town about the upcoming trial was getting drum tight, but what happened next had nothing to do with it. It had to do with a liver-colored dog named Tim.
Come on.
Why do I have to go home?
Because I tell you, something's wrong with that dog yonder. Cal, can you come out a minute?
It's just Tim, and he's gone a little lopsided, that's all.
What is it, Jim? I can't come out every time you want me.
Something's wrong with that dog yonder.
I don't have time to wrap up any dog's foot right now.
It's not that, Cal. Something's wrong with him. He's sick.
Trying to catch his tail?
No, he's doing like this.
You telling me stories, Mr. Jensen?
No, Cal, and he's coming this way.
Running?
Just moseying, but walking funny.
Okay, I'll call help. You two, get inside.
Come on.
Operator, Miss Eula May, ma'am, get me Mr. Finch's office right away. Mr. Finch, there's a mad dog down the street a piece, and Jim says he's coming this way. Yes, sir, yes.
What's Atticus say?
In a minute. Miss Eula May, listen. Get Miss Crawford, Miss Atkinson, and anyone on the street who has a phone, and tell them there's a mad dog coming. Please, ma'am, hurry.
What about the Radleys? They got a phone?
Doesn't matter, they won't come out anyway.
Maybe me too. I better call out to them.
No, Scout.
Both of you, get inside. Mr. Nathan, Mr. Boo, there's a mad dog coming, you hear me? Mad dog coming. Don't come outside. Mad dog.
I see him. There he is, Cal. Get back.
Both of you, get inside.
He's moving slow as a snail.
What's that?
Found him in the knothole.
What is it?
2 pennies, all slicked up.
Indian pants. Them's real valuable. Why would anybody leave valuable?
Finders keepers. I risked my life out there. I did.
When's Atticus going to go?
We assumed that Atticus would turn to competent authority to handle the situation. Our assumption was correct. When he got here, he was with the sheriff.
Stay on the porch, son.
It's back behind the Radley pecan trees.
Not running, is he, Cal?
Not yet, Mr. Tate.
Usually they go on a straight line, but you can never tell.
Well, the slope will probably bring him back onto the road.